Hi everyone, it's Heather. In my last video, I hope it was my last video, I should have been showing you how I made this puffy heart cover. I'm going to start decorating it now. So what I wanted to do was a little bit of collage on the cover, and I do want to use this sort of as an overlay because I'm trying to think of ways to use up some of these little card heart frames that I cut ages ago. So I'm going to use that, and I've also picked up loads of scraps from my scrap box, so you can see that I've used them for previous projects because that's when I die cut out the puzzle pieces. That was ages ago, and I cut some mini envelopes out of that one. And these are the tags that I was going to make into tags. So this is the vintage ledger and wallpaper and fabric stuff that I cut into pieces. So I'm going to use that as well because I think the colours go quite nicely. So I'm going to use those. So I've taken the back cover off with the book rings, so I'll just put that to one side. I'm thinking I do want to use this, so I might just ink up the edge of that before I forget, because I'd like to add that to the end, at the end, and then layer up some flowers maybe on the front. I'm hoping this will be dark enough, because obviously with it being the craft card, it's already quite a nice shade of brown already. I've also got to decide what I'm going to do about the edge of the book. I did think maybe a little bit of gilding could look good, because I've sandwiched so many pieces of board together. Obviously you can sort of tell that it's several pieces stuck together. I'll show you in a moment. Just quickly ink around here. It is quite loud in the house today, so you have to bear in mind the kids are home. My youngest is currently chatting on her way upstairs, so if you can hear that, I'm sorry if it's distracting, but I think she's just been downstairs to chat to her dad. Right, so that's good, I like that. Just put that to one side. I can always use the darker brown later if I want to make it a bit darker. That's quite nice. So the edge, I don't know whether you can see, but it's sandwiched together because it's two quite thick pieces of board, so it's a really thick, robust cover. I did think if you were sandwiching two pieces of board together like that, you could actually add some piping or something like that to the edge, but I didn't think of that before I sandwiched it, so now I've just got two pieces of board sandwiched together. So I've got to think of something to sort of possibly disguise the edge. I don't know, maybe some paint, maybe some gilding or something like that. I don't know, I haven't decided yet. It might not be so obvious when it's decorated up. So I've got some, this is actually bookbinding glue, but it's just a PVA basically, which is good for using for collage, decoupage and whatnot. I probably could have watered it down a bit, but I haven't. So I'm just going to spread a little bit on here as I decorate it. So if we start with, actually we'll start with a bit of the ledger, I think. They're quite nice colours, aren't they? So if we go with, oh, that's not going to work, is it? Because we don't want the white necessarily showing. A little bit more there. I see a lot of people doing the collage masterboards, and I've never made one myself. I did at one point save a couple of my daughter's school books to do it with, but I think since they've been recycled because I have an abundance of paper and books in the house. I wonder whether this is going to make it a little bit too shiny. I might have to add something afterwards. Trying to keep it on my plastic sheet so I don't get glue everywhere. Now having the heart frame around the padded heart is going to be quite good because it means that I don't have to be particularly careful around the heart itself. So, has everybody had a good week? Mine started off a little bit odd, I have to say. We had a lovely surprise yesterday. We had a delivery, a Waitrose delivery, because we like their sun-dried tomato jars. So periodically, sort of every couple of months, I just order quite a few jars of sun-dried tomatoes, and they last us obviously a couple of months, which is pretty good. And I order some other bits and bobs with it as well, just to make it worth having the order. And we usually order the vegan sushi because it's really nice. It's a bit of a treat, but everybody likes it, so it's worth getting. And the order turned up, but the sushi wasn't there, unfortunately. And it wasn't that it had been sort of substituted or it was a missing item. They just mislaid it. So, and they said, well, not to worry, we've got some vegan burgers, so we'll just cook those instead. But the driver was ever so nice, and he actually phoned the store to find out where it was, and he said, if they find it and somebody's coming this way, they'll bring it for you. He says, but obviously in the meantime I'll ask for a refund. So to be honest, I didn't really think much more of it. I just assumed we'd be having burgers for tea, which we had today, by the way, and they were very nice. But later on in the day, after I picked my daughter up from school, there was a knock on the door. I was just getting changed, and I came running downstairs, and it was Waitrose, and they'd actually bought a substitute. So they'd actually bought some vegan sushi. It was obviously off the shop floor, so it wasn't the prepared stuff that we normally order. But it was lovely. So, and they'd bought 3 packs of that, and some of the is it edamame beans, which we don't normally have. But we got a couple of packs of those as well. So it was essentially, it was free because they'd already refunded me. So it was really nice. So I was very thankful for that, and said, you know, how lovely it was of them to bring it to us. And it meant that I didn't have to change tea plans after all, because we got the vegan sushi and it was delicious and we all enjoyed it. Even my youngest, she does like the vegan sushi. She likes hers with cucumber, you see. So it was really good. So that was a nice end to the week. Excuse me. But today, this morning, I woke up with, for some bizarre reason, with quite severe anxiety for no apparent reason. So that was interesting. But luckily it subsided. I think obviously getting in the craft room does help. How much of that is going to be covered up? Probably need a little bit more there, don't we? Yeah, so I feel a lot better now. So I think sometimes you just sort of got to get on with things, haven't you? It helped watching a couple of videos on YouTube. I have to say, what doesn't help, I know what doesn't help, but for some reason I can't help myself, is going on the likes of Facebook. So social media generally. I don't know whether it's the posture or just sort of leafing through social media posts. Just is not good for me at all. It doesn't help in the slightest. It makes me a lot worse. And you'd think I would know by now, but I still do it. Right, that's good. So that's going to cover that up. Yeah, so anyway, so I feel a lot better now anyway. And it's nice to come and do this. I think now I won't worry about the holes because obviously I've already done myself a template, so that doesn't matter. Stick that on there. So does anybody else make these collage masterboards, and if you do, what have you used them for? It's just slather this in glue. I've seen them used for tags and journal cards and whatnot. And I think they would be quite handy to sort of whitewash over and use as a background. But I've just not done any yet. I've done a few tags individually. I'm getting really mucky already. I was going to use a little bit of this music sheet, so let's pop some of this down. It's quite thick, this is. I get the urge to ink up every piece, but obviously you don't necessarily need to do that. I don't know where that's going to go. Quite like the green as well, so let's do a little bit. A lot of that's going to be covered anyway. But let's see how much. Yes, we need a bit more down the bottom. So shall we have some, let's have some text. I don't want a hard edge, so let's remove that. So how have we been this week? The weather here has been sort of up and down. Today it's been quite nice. The washing did go on the line. I think it actually got dry. My husband took it in for me, so that was good. But it went a bit grey. It's a little bit grey now, but I don't think it's been raining. I haven't been out for a walk today. I probably should. I don't think I'm going to go anywhere now. Oh, I like that. Let's have a bit of that, shall we? Maybe like that. Let's take that last bit off. I'm going to have to remove that as well. A little bit more. Because it's only a small book cover, there's not a lot of space with the collaging, is there? And we need something now in the bottom area. Maybe a flash of that pink again. Actually, how much of that are we actually even going to see? Oh, the tiniest amount. Yeah. Probably easier just put it on here. There we go. Now we need a little bit more up the top and just there. So possibly some of this. Okay. PVA glue, it does tend to make a bit of a mess, doesn't it? And I think we just need a little bit here as well, don't we? I'm going to end up with little crinkly bits in where the glue has gone all manky on my fingers. Now I really like this. Is that going to clash too much? I think that's going to clash too much, isn't it? Let's go with maybe, I don't know. Let's go with a bit of gingham. Now it's just this top bit, isn't it? Oh, I probably could have ripped that side. And I'm thinking maybe a bit more of this. Maybe there. Hopefully that's enough glue to stick that in place. Oh, we're going to need now a tiny bit there as well. It's like a jigsaw puzzle, isn't it, putting this together? Well, that is definitely all over the place, isn't it? So let's stick that down and see how that looks. I'm going to just remove a little bit of that. So it has gone a bit shiny, definitely in place, but it's still not dry completely. And I've still missed a bit there. It doesn't look too bad because the dark blue behind, because of the brown behind it, but I probably should cover it with something. Maybe if we go with a bit of the blue. Ooh, little tiny pieces. I hope these actually stay in place. We have yet to see. Okay, so, right, I think, oh no, there's still a tiny bit there that I've missed. But I think I'll probably get away with that. Let's a bit more glue on there. I'm going to put some other decorations around it anyway, so I'll get away with a little bit. Right, let's add the frame. And then I'm going to have to set it aside to dry, and then I'll come back and we'll add some other elements to the front. Oh, I've made a mess of that. Okay, so that's quite a mishmash. I think we're definitely going to have to add some paint or something to it. And even though that's like seriously thick board, it's still warped it slightly, so that's, hopefully it'll straighten out. But right, I'm going to leave that to dry and then I'll be back momentarily. Yeah, right, I've had a bit of a tidy up and it's almost dry now. I've added a little bit of the fabric washi tape that I made a little while ago, but I don't know whether you can see, I'm just tilting it to the light. What I hadn't considered was I was using the book binding glue just because it was the PVA I happened to have handy at that moment, but really I probably should have used Mod Podge matte because it's got these awful shiny bits on the front now, which obviously wasn't intentional, and is just sort of in little bits, and I have to say I don't like the look of that particularly. So you live and learn, and next time I will be back to the Mod Podge. Also, the problem is, because I was touching it before it was properly dry, it did lift some of the surface off the printables, because even though this is vintage ledger, it's actually printable. So it actually took the surface off the paper. So that's why I used the fabric washi, because it just covered that, because I was obviously impatient and stuck my finger on it before I should have done. So not perfect, but you know, it's an experimentation. So I was thinking, right, what am I going to do now for the edges? And just to have a bit of a play, I did think maybe this, pick out the blue in the flowers and use this ultramarine acrylic. So I'm going to pop a little bit on here, hopefully it's not going to go everywhere. It's really, really runny, this particular blue, and I've already managed to get it all over my work surface, which luckily is also blue, so not a major problem. But I'm just going to use my fingers with this and just use it on the edge. And then draw it down onto the book itself. And just see what that looks like. And I might have to tone it down a little bit with some white, maybe with some gesso later on. So, being rather messy with my fingers now. I'm just pulling some of that down onto the front of the book. A little bit too much on there. So I thought gilding might look good, but just because it had the blue, flashes of blue in the fabric, I thought I'd give that a go instead. Now this is only the front cover, goodness only knows what I'm going to do with the back cover. I'll probably just leave it plain. I want to put just a different stash of envelopes and papers in this book, just for adding notes and a bit of journaling. So it's not, obviously it's not for best. It's not supposed to be an heirloom piece, it's just a bit of fun. I'm just trying out some different techniques, so definitely things I'll do differently. But I do like the way the padded hearts came out, so I'm not particularly stuck on this though. I have got some, it's actually used for leather. It's like a coating that you put on handbags, sort of on the edges of handbags. But I did think maybe that would work, but I've got black and dark brown, and I thought that might just be a little bit too dark for this book. I think this colour blue is actually taking over a little bit, so probably not the best idea, but again, you live and learn. Crafting is about trying new things, isn't it? and just slap it everywhere. It actually brings out the raised surface on the embossing really nicely though. I do like that. But I think I might have to tone that down a little bit. So, yeah, not a great look on the edges. I probably should have just carried on with the paper on the outside. I just didn't think it'd be quite robust enough. So, yeah, interesting. Not perfect by any means. I think I'm going to have to get some gesso and see if we can tone that down a little bit. Okay, we've got some good old gesso and we're going to give that a bit of a go and see if we can make that tone down some of this blue and give a bit of a shabby look on the front. So, here we go. I'm just finger painting again. Oh no, that's perfect, that's working. I'm just using what's in the cap at the moment. Olive gesso, I think it gives that wonderful sort of shabby chic look. The old upcycled furniture type look. That's much better. So we've resorted to watching films that we've seen before, and we have seen recently on Disney Plus Moana, Frozen 1, Frozen 2, what else was it? What did we watch the other day? Yeah, I can't remember now. We watched something else as well. Bit of Disney. I think Moana's brilliant. I love that film. I think it's a better sort of message that she gives, that she can do things on her own rather than relying on a handsome prince to save her. Quite like that. Oh, that's very shabby, isn't it? Very interesting. Alright, let's get a little bit of that on here. Oops, now I've got some on the heart. I suppose it matters. Well, this is getting very messy, isn't it? So I definitely like that better. The edge is sort of disguised now. So I'm going to have to find some nice paper, possibly to go on the inside. Or maybe to cover the back cover with. Probably brush that off. And I'm going to add a few flowers, I think, to the front, down at the bottom here. I might even do a little bit of wire and some beads, maybe. So yeah, I quite like that. I'm pleased with that look. The blue was a good idea, but it was just a little bit too much on its own. And I've got to repunch the holes for the book rings to go in. So I shall complete that and then show you the completed book maybe in my next video, hopefully. So thanks for joining me. I think I'm going to leave it there because I've got to clean up a little bit and sort out a couple of other bits and bobs. So I'll see you in the next video, and hopefully I'll have it finished by then to be able to show you. So thanks for joining me. I hope you all enjoy the rest of your weekend. It's a bank holiday here in the UK, so I have Monday off as well, so that's really nice. So I might see you before then, I might not. Take care everybody. Bye.